Have you ever wondered what fundamentally binds a government to its people, and what happens when that bond is broken? This question lies at the heart of political philosophy, guiding our understanding of legitimacy and justice. Yes, absolutely, tyranny fundamentally constitutes a profound breach of the social contract. The very essence of the social contract is a reciprocal agreement where individuals consent to be governed in exchange for protection of their rights and the promotion of common welfare. When a government becomes tyrannical, it unilaterally violates this agreement, abandoning its end of the bargain. The core mechanism behind this breach is the withdrawal of consent, whether explicit or implicit. JSON title: Does tyranny constitute a breach of the social contract? Paragraphs: Have you ever wondered what fundamentally binds a government to its people, and what happens when that bond is broken? This question lies at the heart of political philosophy, guiding our understanding of legitimacy and justice. Yes, absolutely, tyranny fundamentally constitutes a profound breach of the social contract. The very essence of the social contract is a reciprocal agreement where individuals consent to be governed in exchange for protection of their rights and the promotion of common welfare. When a government becomes tyrannical, it unilaterally violates this agreement, abandoning its end of the bargain. The core mechanism behind this breach is the withdrawal of consent, whether explicit or implicit. Political philosophers like Jean-Jacques and Jean-Jacques Rousseau argued that legitimate government power derives from the consent of the governed. In a social contract, citizens surrender certain natural freedoms to a sovereign entity in exchange for civil liberties, security, and the rule of law. Tyranny, however, negates these very protections, instead imposing arbitrary rule, suppressing rights, and acting for its own self-interest rather than the common good. This shift fundamentally undermines the mutual obligations that define the contract, stripping the government of its moral and political legitimacy. For the individual, recognizing this breach means understanding that the foundational terms of their political obligation have been nullified. When the state fails to uphold its duties to protect life, liberty, or property, it is no longer operating within the bounds of the social contract. Therefore, citizens are no longer morally bound to obey laws that serve only the tyrannical power, rather than the agreed-upon communal good. This does not automatically endorse rebellion, but it provides a theoretical justification for questioning and potentially resisting such authority. This concept introduces crucial distinctions, such as Jean-Jacques' idea of the right to resistance, which arises when a government acts contrary to the trust placed in it by the people. Another important distinction is between a mere bad policy and systematic tyranny. The latter involves a consistent pattern of abuses that truly extinguishes the government's claim to legitimate authority. This is often linked to the absence of the rule of law and the presence of arbitrary power, where rights are not protected but routinely violated. Ultimately, understanding that tyranny breaks the social contract offers a critical framework for evaluating government actions and the limits of political power. It clarifies why governments are instituted among people and establishes the conditions under which their authority can be considered legitimate or illegitimate. This knowledge empowers us to discern when an institution has overstepped its mandate, providing a moral compass for civic engagement and the pursuit of justice. Slides, title, The Broken Promise of Governance, bullets, label, defining bond, sentence. Government and citizens are linked by a fundamental reciprocal agreement. Label, core breach, sentence. Tyranny unequivocally violates this social contract, undermining mutual trust. Label, legitimacy lost, sentence. When the government acts tyrannically, its moral and political legitimacy dissolves. Title, Why Tyranny Breaks the Contract, bullets, label, consent withdrawn, sentence. Legitimate governance relies on the people's consent, which tyranny negates by force. Label, mutual obligations, sentence. The contract requires protection of rights. Tyranny imposes arbitrary rule and self-interest. Label, philosophical roots, sentence. Thinkers like Locke and Rousseau established that power flows from the governed's will. Title, Implications for the governed, bullets, label, obligation nullified, sentence. Citizens are no longer morally bound to obey laws serving only tyrannical power. Label, questioning authority, sentence. Recognizing a breach provides a theoretical basis for resistance against unjust rule. Label, systematic abuse, sentence. A pattern of rights violations, not just bad policy, defines a contract breach. Title, understanding government's limits, bullets. Label, right to resistance, sentence. Philosophers discuss a right to resist when government betrays public trust. Label, rule of law, sentence. Tyranny often replaces the predictable rule of law with unpredictable, arbitrary power. Label, moral compass, sentence. This framework helps us evaluate government legitimacy and guide civic action.